Hi, welcome back to the patch. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done the last one. We've got our soil sample and our leaf sample back and try and marry the two up together, give us some idea of what's going on. We were looking at the nitrogen because the nitrogen was low. It's now back, it's up to about 80 at the moment. We want to be somewhere around 100. We're going to put on some calcium nitrate. Again, just keep working on the calcium all the time. The nitrogen, want to try and get it up around 100. We notice that our boron is still low, so despite giving it 4 ounces in the last 2 weeks, we're going to give that 8 ounces for the next 2 weeks. We'll be sending a soil sample at the end of this week, and then hopefully that will show that the boron's beginning to rise and the nitrogen is then back up to the 100 where we want it. Looking at the plant, certainly the front of the leaves are looking a lot greener now, so the nitrogen is beginning to work. And I don't know if Stuart can see here some lovely white roots we've just exposed from moving the boards. The one thing you will see that's different in the patch today from the last one, we've removed the polythene, the white polythene. Believe it or not, there's so much light going through the polythene, the weeds are actually pushing their way up through them, which meant there's no way we can get rid of the weeds. But more importantly, the whole idea of putting a white cover over the soil was to get these lovely roots that we find under the walking boards. And if there's enough light for weeds to grow, there's certainly not enough, there's too much light for roots to grow. So we need to eventually find something that we can put down that's cheap enough to cover, because this is a big patch, our patch, that allows the water and the air to go through, but not the light to go through. Bearing in mind we're going to have to cut holes in all of this, so it's only going to be useful for 1 year. We're going to do a little bit of vine bearing, the way Stuart and I do it, which is a little bit different than most people, but it does work. We start with pots. These are pretty large pots. They're full of just peat. They've been absolutely soaked, and that's the most important thing, that they are absolutely soaked. We're soaking them with some BioLift and some Trichoderma. Trichoderma, obviously for the root shield. Some of that in there. I should get told off by Clive if I don't shake the bottle first. Now, these pots are already soaking wet at the moment, and all this is doing is just adding all the good stuff. So it's going to be in direct contact with the roots. Here we've got our Azos and our Myco. Very important to put this on every single node that we're working with, and in large amounts. The last few years we haven't been putting on, we don't think we've been putting on enough. It's obviously been working, but after talking to Ron Wallace, we're probably going to put on probably a couple of kilos per plant this year. Now, our reasoning with this pot of soil was, we found a couple of years ago where we did the conventional bearing that we get light on the top of the root, on top of the node, because we obviously get the root underneath, but we want the roots coming out of the top of this axle in here. You can see a little white line there, and that's where the root's going to be coming. And our problem we found was that by burying the vine, we were getting this thing of light getting to the little node here that it develops, and you get like a little lump, and it doesn't develop into a proper root. And we found by using these pots, because the pot's going to go and sit on top of the root like that, we're going to leave the pot on it. That blocks out all of the light, and we went from somewhere around 20% roots to somewhere around 95% roots coming out of the top. So you can imagine every plant's going to have probably 800-900 leaves, or probably way more than that. That's a lot of extra roots. That's another probably 700 roots coming out of the top. So first of all, we're just going to take, can't see that in. Okay, let's see this one here. We're going to take this little bud out to the side here. We try and make sure it comes off at 90 degrees to the stem. And this is a simple bit. Oh, sorry. Good handful in there. Good handful in that one. I'll do that one at the same time and pinch that one out. And then the pot, simply sit it on the side.
Yeah, I can't see that.
I'll do one again so Stuart can see it, and dump it over. So we just simply sit it like that and dump it on top. So that's now going to block out all of the light getting to that little node on the inside there, and we certainly see miles more roots because of it. We just straighten that one up a bit. Okay, make sure you pinch all these out. If you don't pinch them out, they become a nightmare later on, because they all stick up. They send a little tiny shoot up in it, and then you're going to have to walk right into the middle of the patch to take it out. And the last thing you want to be doing is walking in the middle of your patch just to get a shoot out, because every time you walk on that soil you are going to be cracking stems. So on its side, dump. Same with this, some more azos. My coat, another pot, pull that weed up, and that's as simple as it gets. So we're going to be doing these probably twice a week from now on, so probably Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You can't leave it any more than that. They're going to be growing about probably 8 inches a day in every direction, so you're looking at 3 or 4 feet a week. If you depends on the weather and all the rest of it. It's actually nice and cool in here. We've actually got the vents open pretty wide in here just to keep plenty of air movement going. We're also trying to dry these out at the moment. We're trying to be a little bit mean with the water. We want to really encourage the root growth. There's no need to pile water in at this stage and risk any root loss, because there's no pumpkin on there. So we're trying to encourage. Root system is probably almost more important than the plant at the moment. Once we start setting the pumpkins, once they get to a size of, say, a football, then we have to be watering probably every single day at that point, but there'll be more of that later. So hopefully this helps, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time when the plants will probably be at least twice, maybe 3 times this size.